ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sex and Suicide Podcast. We are here with Lee Thibeault. Thibeault. I always get it wrong.
It's French.
Very special guest for this evening for our Mental Health and Motivational Monday podcast. And Lee's got an incredible story for us. And let's just talk about how we met, because this is kind of crazy. The universe obviously wants us to have this meeting.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, it's we met through today. Actually, getting connected through a mutual friend.
Another female. We don't have to use names. We'll just say.
But actually, Sean and I go all the way back to Sault Ste. Marie when I was going to school for college to become an aircraft mechanic.
Yeah.
And Sean was going to school
to be a pilot
in aviation.
Yeah.
And so we actually we recognized each other being in my home. Things really clicked for me to realize that, wait a second, I know who you are. I know exactly who you are. We met a long time ago. You know, we have a history all the way back in Sault Ste. Marie when we were much younger.
The crazy thing is that we met through the woman that I was dating at the time, and you knew their family.
Yes.
And then and we went to the same college. And then obviously there was a little bit of noise, as you call it.
Oh yeah,
your twin brother started dating her after I dated her.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Oh yeah.
And so obviously there's the old boyfriend, current boyfriend tension.
Yeah.
Right. And so you were sticking up for your brother, obviously.
Yeah.
But I always
sides.
Yeah, fair enough. And then obviously we're now introduced to another woman here in London.
Yeah.
The last time I saw you, you're boxing, you're doing your thing, you're doing your aircraft structure training in Sault Ste. Marie, and you're walking, right? This is a change. The first I've seen you in this condition, right?
Yeah, absolutely,
And then now all of a sudden, I didn't even know you lived in London. Same guy, and I'm here in your apartment through another female.
Yeah,
it's just kind of crazy.
It is. I couldn't believe it once I recognized you, because obviously as we age, the looks change, and the beard. And he didn't have a beard when I first met him. Clean-shaven pilot.
I couldn't have a beard when you first met me.
He had to be clean-shaven and wear a tie. So. And he wasn't this buff, now he's jacked up.
I was drinking way more. Obviously, as a pilot, that's what we're known for. The gym wasn't as big of a priority.
Gym wasn't a priority. And I heard the was very aggressive piloting program as well too. I heard the guys were all the way through the summer doing hours and flying and studying, and they were very strict about that uniform and showing up and punctuality and all that stuff with that program. So
absolutely,
so that made sense.
So for someone that myself, as most of our viewers know, I've openly discussed my anxiety disorder and depression. Originally, when I told my story, I said, I was flying aircrafts being on Effexor, which is an anti-anxiety medication, being on lithium for a point in time, and as you know. It's probably not the best move for a pilot to be on.
It's not the best move for a pilot being on those medications.
Right.
They have all these tests and requirements because of altitude. Altitude is a very it could be a dangerous thing.
Sure, absolutely. And so I was kind of trying to hide that. That was my big secret. And finally, when I started openly talking about it and talking about depression and anxiety as much as I do now, it's funny because a lot of it's gone away, or at least I've learned the coping skills to get through it quicker, right? But we're here to talk about you tonight, and all the stuff that you've gone through. So this is great because it's an old connection that's kind of been revived. But you're obviously not the same Lee that I remember. So why don't you just tell me?
I'm a little bit shorter now. So.
Well, that's going to happen to me with age too, right? Yeah. So let's talk about what happened and what led up to everything that you experienced.
Well, it was a very. I'd like to start off with to say, like Sean was saying about me being a boxer and mechanic and all this stuff. I was living what I would call the perfect life. Everyone we go through society and we're looking to go through education and get that dream job, the job that we love, and make money and buy all the fun stuff. And so I was living the perfect life. I was working at Air Canada Jazz as a mechanic, and I was fighting almost every other weekend, and I was staying in shape and boxing, and I loved it. It was the sport for me. I love that sport more than anything, and I really loved my job. And then living here in London, and getting my first vehicle with working hard and overtime at work, And then me and my twin brother sharing a nice motorcycle. We had a nice sports bike motorcycle that we had together since high school. And so it was honestly the best summer day, June 25th, 2013. It was absolutely the best summer day. I just finished washing my car, and then my twin brother asked to borrow the car to go with a fellow friend to go grocery shopping. So I thought, you know what? Well, then I'll go for a motorcycle ride. I'm going to take the motorcycle and go out riding. It was such a beautiful day. And so then I cleaned up the bike and I got all my gear on and I took a photo. Actually, I took a photo of the jacket I was wearing with the Superman symbol, and it was very it was a very cool Joe Rocket jacket, and we put the Superman symbol on it and had all the gear and everything like that. And so I went for a ride. Beautiful summer day, and then my life changed when I came around a corner, heading home. I was coming down the highway and then turning onto the one-way street that I resided on, and I was confronted by a vehicle coming the wrong way down that one-way street.
Oh shit!
And so my body, panicked. I thought I was in the wrong. Actually, when I saw the vehicle, I thought I was going the wrong way.
Right.
And so I tried to avoid the head-on collision because I believe the head-on collision would have absolutely life would have been it would have killed me.
Yeah.
And so I avoided the head-on collision and got struck in the rear end of the motorcycle, and I went diving into a curb head first, and then it went slow motion. When I went over the handlebars and I saw myself going into that curb, everything was in slow motion. And as soon as my head touched the concrete, I was already looking down at my fingers through my visor. Helmet was still on, and I couldn't move. I was frozen. I could just look down at my fingers, and the only thing I could feel, I felt absolutely nothing. The only thing I could feel was my teeth. I had some teeth hanging from my mouth. I could feel my teeth hanging from my mouth, and so I just started to get frightened. But it felt like seconds that this woman was already speaking to me. And it turns out she happened to be a nurse who witnessed the incident, and she turned around on the highway and came to my aid immediately, which honestly saved my life.
Wow.
She was there immediately.
Wow.
And she started talking to me, and I started talking back, and I started getting upset, and I was very scared, and so I was talking, I was coherent, and she was asking me all kinds of questions. I'm saying my name, I'm telling her where I lived and everything, and then I told her, as soon as I told her I couldn't move anything. I couldn't move. She knew immediately that there's potentially a spinal cord injury there.
Right.
So she made sure anyone that came into scene, more first responders started showing up. People wanted to roll me over and ID me, and she didn't let anyone touch me because she knew it's very, very fragile when it comes to a spinal cord injury.
So are you face down?
So I was face down, so I can't see anyone. It's just dark.
You just
for me,
heard her voice.
I just heard her voice. I can't. I've never seen her face for the life of me. And I just hear all this noise start coming up from every blind spot, and I'm face down and I can't move. And then I'm hearing sirens. I'm hearing people talking. And then all of a sudden, I don't remember the ambulance ride. I must have blocked out. I started to get very emotional and very frightened. And so I think I definitely blocked out. I remember hearing my twin brother. The apartment was so close. He knew that it was me.
He could feel it?
He could feel it.
Really?
He knew when he started hearing sirens, this and that. He had come back from his trip to the grocery store and everything, and he knew immediately. So he came running down. And it upsets me because they didn't let him on scene to be with me, so he was yelling from afar, and I knew it was him. And so I was yelling back, and then they didn't let him go into the ambulance ride with me, which was,
really?
And that's where I blocked out, and it would have been nice to have him there because you never knew what the consequences of this catastrophic accident.
Sure.
And so then, but I do remember getting, pulled into the hospital, and then all of a sudden I'm laid down on a hard table, and they're just chopping everything off. They're chopping everything off. And this team was absolutely wonderful. When they say, when they talk about our medical system here in Canada, and I know there's certain areas that could definitely use a reformation, but when it comes to, catastrophic accidents like this and crashes, this team was so good to me, and they spoke just absolutely well to keep me calm. And they slowly inched the helmet off as they were putting the neck collar on, because they automatically assumed the neck was broken, which sure enough, it turned out the neck was broken.
Really?
And so then my twin brother, he showed up in the room, and And he got talking to me, and I told him, I said, Jay, don't tell anybody. I'm going to be just fine. You know,
right.
And supposedly he held himself together, but he was an emotional wreck. He's
sure.
my twin brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, of course, as soon as they took hold of me and he signed some paperwork, because I couldn't sign anything, I couldn't move, for them to put me under anesthesia and start doing surgeries and this time and get me into MRIs and see what's going on before I get into a surgery, knowing that, because immediately right away, the foot, my left foot was what's called degloved.
Right.
It was almost torn. The foot was almost torn right off the leg.
Wow.
And so they were asking my twin brother immediately if they could amputate, and he didn't want to make that decision.
Right.
So he wanted to call mom right away, right? Call mom.
Right.
And so he didn't tell me that my foot was hanging off. I couldn't feel it.
Right.
So,
sure.
So he just went into the hallway and he had a breakdown, and he supposedly called my mom right away and told her that I had been in a horrific accident. And so
yeah, take your time, man. That must have been hard for your mom, for sure. Yeah. It's okay, buddy. Take your time. Take your time, man. It's probably hard to relive that whole experience.
Yeah.
What is it right now that's making you emotional? Is it your feeling or feeling your family?
Family.
The family, like what they were feeling?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when that...
no one wants to hear that about the person that they love so much, right?
No one wants to get that phone call.
No.
You know, because you want to know everyone's doing fine, right?
Yeah.
And you're always calling back, and everything is always fine.
Yeah.
And you tell yourself, you know, everyone believes. We get this whole thing in our heads where it's never going to happen to us.
Right.
You know,
right.
People think you're never going to get stabbed, you're never going to get shot, you're never going to break your neck, you're never, you know.
Yeah.
And so when that phone call goes home, you know, when you think life is going good for everyone,
sometimes it can just...
It's just an overwhelming feeling, right? And so that's what upset me most is when family found out that I had been, you know, catastrophically injured.
See, that's amazing because you're so empathetic towards how they were feeling. It's like you didn't want them to be upset for you.
That's what it was.
Right.
No, that's absolutely what it was because so then sure enough, I knew was bad was they put me under anesthesia, and I was off for surgeries, multiple surgeries. So going through the list, I fractured my jaw, and so my teeth, they pushed my teeth back in and braced them. I fractured C1, C2, so they cut in the front, and the surgeon put a screw in to stabilize the neck. And then there were 6 vertebrae in the back that were fractured, and 2 vertebrae that burst. It was the one burst fracture that had touched the spinal cord, which has left me a paraplegic from about the nipple line down.
Wow.
And then there was the amputation that actually came a few days after. My mom asked the surgeons to save my leg, you know, because you know she's a mother and she didn't want to see her son. You know, she gave birth to me and I had all my limbs, right, all the parts and everything was together. She didn't want to see it go. Right. So she begged them for them to try and do surgery and save it. And the most wonderful thing, they actually tried to save the leg. Yeah. They actually went in and brought me in for another surgery and ran lines and everything and tried to save and get the circulation back. But because there was so much catastrophic damage and the neck and the back were the priority, that the foot unfortunately failed. It started to get infected. The circulation was out the window. Right. And so then I got to make the decision about 3 days later to go with the amputation. Right. But before then, when I got out of the surgeries, the first surgeries, when I woke up from the anesthesia, and supposedly I had been under for about 48 hours, you know, like just in surgery for about 2 days, right. You know, and just under anesthesia for the traumatic experience and everything. When I woke up, I knew it was bad. Yeah. Because then that's when I saw my family. Right. And so when I saw my family and family that had flown from all over the place, my aunts and uncle from Texas, I had family from all the way from Sudbury and all over. And so once I started doing the math, thinking how long this would take for people to travel around. Right. One, I knew I'd been in surgery for some time, and then 2, I knew it was bad. Right. I knew it was bad, but you know, your mind does amazing things. My mind encouraged me to stay, you know, stay strong, stay strong and positive, and tell myself that I'm going to get out of this